call the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, all members are present. Approval of the agenda. Is there any additions or changes? Council? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Shallen, seconded by Joe. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approval of the minutes of the November 1st, 2023 regular meeting. All received them in your packet. Is there any changes, corrections, or clarification needed on those minutes? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the November 1st meeting minutes?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Heidi,
I'll second.
seconded by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Aye.
4 in favor, none against, 1 abstention. This now brings us to our public open forum. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Ben's shaking his head no. Our public open forum is now closed. We have no public hearings. We'll move on to reports and presentations. Police Department monthly reports.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Apologize for missing the previous month, so we'll tackle that now. September, some of the activity we had there, we had 11 alarm calls. We did 77 foot patrols. We had 19 medicals. We did 287 traffic stops, warnings. And then we had 67 school patrols, 9 accidents, 14 personal assists. We had 7 behavioral health calls, 19 juvenile problem calls, 13 verbal disputes. We did 41 assists for other agencies. We had 28 citations for no license, driving without a license. So we had a total activity of 867 for that month. Compare that to August, we were down 143 calls. And compared to last year, we were up 100 calls. So, activity for October. Last month, we had 6 alarm calls, 72 foot patrols, 30 medicals, 372 traffic stops, 63 school patrols, 11 accidents, 16 personal assists. We had 7 behavioral health calls again, 7 welfare checks, 11 suspicious activity, 4 unwanted person calls, 19 juvenile problems, 25 assists for other agencies, 12 suspicious vehicle calls, and we had 31 citations for no license, 19 citations for driving after revocation or suspension. October, we lost Officer Brenton Stowell. He moved on to another city, and now we're training in Letitia, so we're trying to get her going. So she's doing pretty good so far. So
Okay.
that's all I have.
Questions, comments?
Well, I noticed that we're getting between 30 and 40 people driving, being stopped and ticketed for no driver's license, revoke license.
Yeah.
That's every month. I mean, boy, if you don't have insurance,
Yeah,
thank you. Good job.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Brian. Public Works Department, Ben?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Over the past month here, we did have one snow and ice event that required plowing and sanding. Street sweeping has been ongoing over the past month, nearing very close to the end of that for the season. We did have a bunch of new Christmas decorations that were delivered. Pam Boardman was in charge of all that, so we've been working on putting those all together. They all needed bases built so that they could be installed in the park, so working on getting everything put in the park, and extension cords ran and timers set to get all that stuff ready for next week. So a lot of new stuff, so that should look really nice, so we thank them for coming up with all those donations. We did complete the trenching of all the new fiber in the campground. We went throughout the entire campground, all the sites, and then we ran a new line from the park shed down to by Wayne Transport. So that's all done. Hopefully meeting with Arvig tomorrow to start talking about them getting their stuff put on the poles and have all that stuff done by spring and ready to go. The arena, that's been up and running now, heading into the busier season with games and tournaments on the weekends. We did have one issue with the Olympia that we had bought last year, but luckily the dealer came up, fixed it right away. It was only down a couple days. We had the other one to use, so that all went very well, and thankful that they were able to get that fixed soon. We did pull all the docks, and we did move the pier over by the campground this year, so that if we would experience that ice issue we had this spring, then hopefully it doesn't mess with it in that location, and hopefully it's a little more sheltered over there. So that's kind of the main stuff we did this past month. Are there any questions I can answer?
Oh, what did they have going on up there on Getty Street? They had that street tore up for a day.
There was sewer issues that they had to fix up there.
Okay.
So
Great job. Thank you, Ben. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
thanks.
Planning Commission, Sarah?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In your packet, you have a copy of the Planning Commission agenda. We held our meeting yesterday afternoon. We just had one action item to approve a final plat, which is on your agenda a little bit later in the evening. The October building permit report, there's $192,000 for about, I think it was 9 permits for the month of October. And then the quarterly report is showing about $5.5 million of construction value so far this year at the end of October. So our meeting was really short and sweet. So any questions for me?
Questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Park Board report.
So the Park Board met in regular session on Tuesday, November 7th. They also received the Public Works report as it relates to the parks. They will be partnering with the Gradatum Club for opening the Red Schoolhouse for events. They did have it open on Halloween, and they're looking at some future events, and they hope to have it open one weekend a month come summertime. We also know that now that we learned that the park fountain has been shipped, so it's somewhere on a boat, and it'll be here and be taken in to be painted shortly. We also discussed the tree memorial and the next steps for that. If you've noticed, the memorial is painted on the side of the Sinclair Lewis Park bathroom, and we're working on getting the leaves and the memorials put on those. Also, they discussed the campground internet project, which you heard about earlier, and they looked at what the proposed capital improvements will be for 2024. Of course, that's pending budget approval next meeting. And also, they're going to be meeting with community garden volunteers in February about some potential improvements for the community garden. So that's it for the Park Board.
Questions? Okay, Airport?
So the Airport Board met in regular session on Wednesday, November 8th. They welcomed their new member, Jim Moore. He is actually a pilot and who has an airplane in the hangar now, so he'll be a good addition to the Airport Board. They discussed the next steps on a potential box hangar construction, which would be a larger box hangar out at the airport versus the T-hangar type that we recently constructed, or not recently anymore, I guess it was 2009, so. They reviewed the progress for the land purchase, which is the 11-acre parcel across 186 from the turf runway. And then they reviewed their funding from the FAA and the bill funds and exactly how they want to allocate those. And they have a 20-year capital improvement plan that they work on for that. And then they also talked about relocation of the AWAS, which is the observation station that MnDOT has out there for weather. It has to be moved to allow for construction because it's supposed to be 500 feet from a building, and of course it's not. So no action tonight on the Airport Board.
Questions? Comments? Okay, then we will go on to the Property Insurance Renewal Report.
So we have Mark Maloney here from Minnesota National Agency, and he's going to talk to you regarding the upcoming renewal. I did put in your packet information he gave me regarding the insurance renewal, and then also the information on the excess liability, and then whether or not we want to waive coverage for the tort liability limits. So I'm going to turn it over to Mark.
Good evening, Council. Mayor Stone, thanks for having me again this year. In your packet, you'll see that the League of Minnesota Cities announced they will be distributing $3 million in dividends to the members in December. I looked today, it looks like it's going to be released on December 4th. I'm not sure what Sauk Center's portion will be, but it's with the good loss history, it's usually pretty nice dividend. So, rate changes for 2024, liability average rate will have an average rate decrease of 6%, consisting of a decrease about 10% for employment practices, 15% decrease in sewer backup liability, 11% decrease in annual expenditures, base rates for cities. There's no change for police liability, land use, litigation, or general expenditure rate for special purpose entities. The auto average rate increase, that would be an increase of about 7.5%, 5% increase in auto liability, 10% in physical damage. And then excess liability will have about a 3% average increase. There will not be a property rate increase, but the inflation factors are 5% building increase, and contents will have a 7% increase. Property in the open 4%, and mobile property will have about a 2.5% increase. So things are settling down in the property casualty side of things after the storms the last couple of years. In your packet, I have we'll talk about the liability limits, coverage limits, and waivers, and I have the attached explanation along with a chart of the coverages that go with it. So what are the statutory limits on municipal tort liability? The statute limits a city's tort liability to a maximum of $500,000 per claimant and $1.5 million per occurrence. These limits apply whether the claim is against the city or against the individual officer or employee or against both. And then what are the coverage limits for the League of Minnesota Cities basic primary liability coverage? For the coverage written and renewed after November 2014, the liability coverage will provide a limit of $2 million per occurrence. Besides the overall coverage limit of $2 million per occurrence, there's also an annual aggregate limit, and they're listed below. It says $3 million in most cases, except for employer's liability, which is work comp is $1.5 million, land use special risk litigation is $1 million, and activities in the outside organizations is $100,000 annually. Why does the League of Minnesota Cities provide higher coverage limits than the statutory limits? The reason is to give members and cities better protection. The statutory limits caps the city's liability for many types of claims, but some liability claims, which are listed in the next section, aren't covered by this statutory limits. So the city has potential liability, which is unlimited. The higher limits also protect against major incident, which many people might be injured. $2 million occurrence coverage limit gives the city better protection for these types of claims. It makes it less likely the city would end up with a liability exceeding its coverage limits. Another reason to provide higher limits is because it's increasingly more common to see contracts require more than the statutory limits of $1.5 million. And there's four other reasons the city would want to have strongly consider excess coverage is, which provides higher limits of liability coverage. Excess coverage is available in 1 million increments and up to the maximum of 5 million. You currently have been carrying an excess liability of 1 million. And if the city limits our liability is already providing higher limits than required, why purchase even more limits? 4 reasons are, one is the statutory tort limits either do or may not apply to several types of claims. Claims under the federal civil liberties rights laws, claims for tort liability that the city has assumed by contract, claims for actions in another state, claims based on liquor sales, claims based on taking theory. And 2, the League of Minnesota Cities primary liability coverage has annual limits on coverage for few risks, and you can see them on table 1. The city may be required by contract to carry higher limits, and the $2 million limit will meet most contract requirements. And there may be more than one political subdivision covered under the city's coverage. These are like HRA, EDA. And so who needs excess liability? If anything, the excess liability coverage is even more important to smaller cities rather than large cities. If the city ends up with more liability than it has coverage, the city will have to either draw on existing funds or go to the taxpayers to pay the judgment. And what's the effect of waiving per claimant statutory limits? For cities who choose to waive the statutory limits, the city is choosing to waive the protection of the statutory limits up to the amount of coverage the city has. Someone with a claim against the city that has waived statutory limits would be able to recover up to $2 million. Of course, the individual would have to prove to the courts, prove to the courts and jury that he really does have the amount of damages, rather than the statutory limits of $500,000. Because the waiver increases the exposure, the premium is roughly 3.5% higher for coverage under the waive options. So it's simple. If you look at the chart, it's not necessarily simple, but the table following the page has a shorthand and summary of what would be of the various coverage structure options in different circumstances. So you can see with the chart that's attached that the limit's $500,000. It would actually recover up to $1.5 million with that waived limits. And if you have excess coverage, it could get up to $3 million. So, and if multiple parties are involved, they would split that. Do you have any questions?
Questions, comments? It's usually something we do every year,
Yeah.
so if not, thank you.
All right, thank you.
We'll go on to our action items. 7A, approve waiving monetary limits on municipal tort liability.
So as Mark just explained about waiving the tort liability and purchasing the excess coverage is akin to having like an umbrella policy. I know we've talked about that in the past. I did do a little bit of checking, and our excess liability last year and the year before equaled about 10% of our cost for liability and property insurance for the year. So the excess liability was $13,321. He had said in his report that it would expect to go up about 3%, so it's about a $400 increase we could expect to receive if we go ahead and waive it again this year and purchase the excess liability insurance. So that's the question before you tonight. Do you wish to do the same as we have done in prior years and waive those limits and purchase the excess liability insurance?
Questions? Do I have a motion on waiving or not waiving?
I'll make the motion to waive the limit and purchase the excess liability coverage.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Joe, second by Shallen. Any other discussion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7B, approve sick and safe leave policy.
So as we talked about in a prior council meeting and informational sessions, updates are necessary to our personnel policy regarding the newly enacted sick and safe time legislation, which everybody has been calling ESST. Our amendment to our personnel policy is going to be very short and sweet. We're going to reference to the statute for the eligible uses. We're going to reference to the statute for persons the employee is eligible to use the ESST for. That way, as they change that statute, we'll follow that rather than having to redo our ordinance, our policy. The one thing that is different is it'll add ESST to part-time and seasonal employees with an accrual rate of 1 hour per 30 hours worked with a maximum of accrual of 48 per year or a balance of 80. So that's something that's new. And that will be for our part-time seasonal firefighters and ambulance personnel that will be eligible to receive 1 hour for every 30 hours worked. So then you can see in italics, I have added the employees who are less than full-time shall earn sick leave at a rate of 1 hour for every 30 hours worked to a maximum of 48 per year. And then also below that show where, rather than list what they can use it for, to refer to the statute. So what we're looking to do tonight is to approve the amendment to the city personnel policy by including the sick and safe time leave.
Questions, comments? Do I have a motion to approve the amendment?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Diane, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7C, approve amendment to benefits guide, health insurance contribution.
So as an attachment to our personnel policy, we have a benefits guide, which is easy to amend year to year as we need to do it. We have a proposed change to the guide for insurance contributions. If you recall, last year we did a flat contribution to insurance as a 1-year thing, and then it reverted back to the 85 family 15%, no, 100% if you had single coverage or 85 if you had family. This is similar. This is 100% for the employee and 85 for the dependents that you bring along. So it's very similar, but what it does is it covers the employee even if you have a family rather than only covering the employee if you take single. So that's kind of what the difference is on that. And one thing I wanted to note, because I was asked this, whenever a conflict exists between the labor agreement and the benefits guide, the labor agreement will prevail. So we have a labor agreement for both the police and the public works. As you'll see tonight, we have the proposal to approve the contract with the police department, but we don't have the public works ones done yet. So when we're done with public works, their labor agreement will prevail if it conflicts with what this states. I just wanted, someone had asked me that, I wanted to clarify. So what we're looking to tonight is just to approve the amendment to the benefit guide as proposed.
Questions, concerns? Do I have a motion to approve the amendments to the benefits guide?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Last minute discussion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7D, approve labor agreement with LELS, Police Department Union Agreement.
So the Personnel Committee met with the LELS union, which is the Law Enforcement Labor Services, Inc. They're the new representative for the police department. The department was previously represented by the Teamsters. So this was our first meet with LELS. They imported the existing Teamsters contract into the LELS agreement format. They did make modifications, typographical things, updating to statutes and basic cleanup, but there were no changes that modified the intent of the contract. Then they came back to the city with proposals for amendments. And I do have them here in a bullet point format. The committee recommends changes to the agreement to allow shift differential to be paid for overnight shifts. So if you work overnight, you get 50 cents an hour more than you would for the daytime. They made an adjustment to time paid for care of the canine when off duty. In the past, there was a half an hour paid on your day off to take care of the canine. There was actually arbitration that went through, and they have made a determination that an hour is more appropriate for that. What they're also recommending that the in-house training officer be paid overtime while conducting training. So we have officers that are trained, they'll do use of force training or firearms training. And so if it's our officer that's actually doing the training of the other officer, they're getting straight time to go to training, but he would get time and a half to be the trainer. Previously, he was getting straight time as well. They are recommending an additional stipend to the officer assigned as investigator. So if you become the investigator, you would have a 2.5% stipend. They are giving 1 hour of comp time to an officer with their working as an FTO. That's the field training officer. If we have a new officer on duty and they're partnered with another officer that's going to evaluate them, that officer gets an hour of comp time or an hour of paid time off for that. They are also adding Juneteenth, June 19th, and the day after Thanksgiving is holidays. And they have a salary adjustment over 3 years, 2024, 25, and 26, of 7%, 5%, 3%. So that is, in a nutshell, the changes that are being recommended to the contract. And I think we have a recommendation to approve that labor agreement for the years of 24, 5, and 6.
Questions? Concerns? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the labor agreement?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Shallen, do I have a
I'll
second?
second.
Second by Diane. Any other discussion? Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7E, approve 2024 wages non-union.
So with the wage scale adopted for the labor agreements, they're either completed or underway. The non-union wage scale must also be set. Now, historically, those adjustments are consistent with the union wage scales to stay in compliance with the Pay Equity Act. So that is what we have here for you tonight, is to approve the non-union wage scale adjustments consistent with that labor agreement for 24, 5, and 6 of 7, 5, and 3.
Comments?
I just have a question. If the insurance is going to be adjusted according to the labor agreement, does this change if it changes for the non-agreed upon labor agreement?
Yeah, that was the benefit guide that we already did.
But does this change? So if there's a difference in the labor agreement that hasn't been approved yet, and it is different than this wage scale, will it be changed to the non-union staff?
Well, we're asking tonight is to have it consistent with the one that already is approved.
Okay.
I think if you have a different number for the other one, then it would either have to come back to you or this would stand.
Okay.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve the non-union wage scale adjustments?
Motion to
Second.
approve.
Motion by Joe, second by Diane. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7F, approve 2023 paramedic wages and job descriptions.
Right, and Kathy Struford is here tonight to answer any questions about this, but with the recent part-time ALS licensure for the City of Sauk Center Ambulance Department, we're requesting a pay rate be set for the paramedics along with the adoption of the job descriptions for a paramedic and an RN. This pay rate would apply when that paramedic or RN is conducting ALS duties. The rate would take effect immediately. And while acting as an EMT, when they're on a non-ALS call, they would start as a probationary EMT rate and they would advance to the EMTI rate after probation. So you can see the rates that are listed there, the 1 and 2 year, the 2 to 4 year, the 4 to 6 year, and the 6 years and up. Then also I have the job descriptions that follow that are looking to be approved as well. Now these rates are all covered by the ALS rate that is billed to the patient. In fact, I believe, and Kathy confirmed for this, these totals actually total less than we were paying the hospital when we took one of their RNs along with us. So we're looking to approve these descriptions and the wage rates for a paramedic and RN to take effect immediately.
Okay, is there any questions for Kathy or Vicky, on this? I was just wondering, what's the basis? Where do you get the average on the wages? Is that state average or just,
We were paying the hospital $70 an hour to take a nurse with, so we kind of base it on that. And we'll work up to that. We lowered it a little bit to help start our costs because we're not sure how it's going to affect with the medications we have to carry now and expiration shelf life on some of these medications that we're going to have to replace frequently. So we kind of just lowered it from 70 we're used to paying to help reflect those costs.
okay. Everyone heard that? Okay. Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve the job descriptions for paramedic and RN and wage rates for paramedic and RN to take effective immediately?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
There's a motion by Shellen, seconded by Heidi. Last minute discussion. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. 7G, approved 2024 ambulance department wages.
The ambulance department has requested the following wage adjustments for 2024. The driver or EMR first responder currently was getting $13.25 an hour. It would be going to $15.11 per hour, and then initiating a per year up to 15 years, they could eventually get $19.61 per hour. The probationary EMT would go from $13.92 to $15.87. And the EMTs 1, 2, 3, and 4 currently are between $15.90 and $20.79. It would go to $18.12 to $23.70. And then the bonus transfer, and that's if you get extra if you take a transfer that's greater than 50 miles. We had set it at $30, it would go to $34.20. And then the director, assistant director, and training coordinator would get that same rate increase. This is all reflective of approximately a 14% increase. And this kind of all started when we were getting beat out by places such as McDonald's for our EMTs. And so we were trying to get a little bit more in line to keep our EMTs wanting to show up for call. So again, Kathy is recommending that these adjustments be accepted for 2024. We did run some numbers on our billing, and we're confident that these rates can be covered with our existing budget.
And this increase was part of her budget when we were doing the budget process, so.
It's
Is there any
really all
other-
about recruitment and retention.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions or more discussion
Yeah,
on this?
just one question with the driver / EMR and the years of service pay scale. Is that time with the ambulance department years of service, or is it like an EMR who has been, like our fire department, obviously the EMR level for 10 years? Is that going to be based on how long they've been in EMR or how long they've been with the ambulance department?
How long they've been with the ambulance.
Okay, just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve the wage adjustments for
I'll make the
2024?
motion.
Motion by Diane. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. 7H, approve advancement of EMT.
So Director Strufert recommends that Jessica Eisenbart be advanced from probationary EMT status to EMT 1 effective November 17th. She recommends Jessica Eisenbart for promotion with a pay increase according to the city's pay policy effective November 17th. This will grant Jessica full privileges and responsibilities of an EMT with the City of Sauk Center. While on probation, Jessica has taken her fair amount of call and backup. She's proven to have good EMT skills and good communication with patients and coworkers. Jessica has well exceeded her 20 patient contacts required while on probation and has had good reviews. So we're looking to approve the advancement of Jessica Eisenbart from probationary status to EMT 1.
Comments, concerns? Do I have a motion to approve the advancement?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Heidi. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Joe. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. 7I, approve resolution 2023-81, approving the sale of forfeited vehicle.
So the Sauk Center Police Department previously secured authorization to offer a forfeited vehicle for sale through the online bidding process. The bid window has closed with the following results. We have the 2003 PT Cruiser sold to Robert Hens for $1,275. So our action requested is to approve Resolution 2023-81 authorizing the sale of this vehicle.
Questions, concerns?
That was really a nice vehicle, too. I'll make a motion, we approve that.
Okay, we have a motion by Diane to approve Resolution 2023-81. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7J, approve Resolution 2023-82, authorizing execution of closing documents.
So we have a purchase agreement has been presented and signed for the sale of Lot 3, Block 3, Authors Edition in Sauk Center. The proposal meets the terms and conditions set forth by the council for the sale. We're requesting authorization be granted to the mayor and city administrator to execute the purchase agreement and the related closing documents. And that is in front of you by Resolution 2023-82, authorizing the execution of closing documents for the sale of the Authors Edition lot.
Questions? Comments? Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2023-82?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Shellen, seconded by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7K, approve Resolution 2023-83, defining terms of interfund loan, Authors Edition.
So when we first entered into the Authors Edition project and we talked about funding, one of the options we talked about was an interfund loan from the hospital fund. This is the very same type of funding arrangement we did with the Elm Street project in 2020. So what we're looking at here is doing an almost identical our loan. We're looking for $750,000 to be paid back over 10 years from a special revenue fund that we'll set up to pay back to the hospital fund. So we'll borrow the money from that fund, so it's interfund. And we're currently paying back that one for Elm Street, and it's working out really well. So I think it's a good way for us to fund some projects, but yet get the money back into the hospital fund. So we're looking to approve Resolution 2023-83, defining the terms of the interfund loan for the Authors Edition project.
Questions? Concerns? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2023-83?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, not against. 7L, approve Resolution 2023-84, adjusting AR and bad debt.
So as you know, each year you review unpaid invoices for certification to taxes, to send to collections, or to write off. So the resulting bad debts to be removed are as follows. We have $4,118.17 to send to collections for the fire department. We have $9,434 to send to collections for TIF. We have some finance charge removals of $526.87. Most of those are ones where people paid the bill and there was a cross in the mail and they didn't pay the finance charges. And then we have the following 3 that were certified to taxes. You had the public hearing earlier and those were certified, and we now need to remove them from accounting. So we have a total of $14,614.25. So that's Resolution 2023-84, approving the adjustments to accounts receivable through collections, write-offs, and certification to taxes.
Questions? Concerns? Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2023-84?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Diane. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7M, approve Resolution 2023-85, approving final plat of Gulf View Estates.
So the Planning Commission last night at their meeting, they considered and are recommending the approval or the final plat of Gulfview Estates. The one that's in your packet has been updated by putting utility easements on the interior property lines. We do have the updated one for that. And the other thing is that They have agreed to incorporate any changes that the county surveyor recommends, because we don't have the final approval back from them yet. Other than that, we're looking to approve the final plat of Gulfview Edition. That's Resolution 2023-85.
Questions, concerns? Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2023-85?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Shallen. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7N, approve Resolution 2023-86, approving the application of Pied Piper Limited Liability Company doing business as the Bear Trap for a transfer of an on-sale, off-sale, and Sunday liquor license located at 43356 County Road 112.
So this is the application for the transfer of the on-sale, off-sale, and Sunday liquor license. The $100 has been paid for the transfer. We have the insurance, liability, and workers' compensation documents have all been received. And the liquor annual license will be prorated between the buyer and the seller at closing. So we're not going to be involved in that. That's something that they work out between them. The effective date to become effective December 1st, 2023. So we're looking to approve Resolution 2023-86, approving that application for the liquor license transfer.
Questions, comments? Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2023-86?
Make the motion.
Motion by Diane, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7O, approve endorsement of petition to extend bike trail.
So the city has been approached to sign a petition onto a petition to be submitted to Stearns County Parks, Trails, and Recreation Master Plan Committee to include the creation of a 24-mile loop down Highway 4 as part of its 10 to 20-year master plan. The trail would begin at the junction of Minnesota 4 and I-94 and travel south along Minnesota 4, cross 55, and continue along County Road 6 to the intersection of the Glacial Lakes Trail. Signing on the petition does not obligate the city. It merely indicates an interest to include the proposed trail in their 10 to 20-year master plan. So what I have in front of you is I did include the petition so that you would have a chance to read it ahead of time. And the request is to authorize the signature and submittal of the petition.
Questions, concerns? I know this trail that they're talking about doesn't come anywhere close to us, but it's a support by the cities in Stearns County, the way I understand it.
Correct.
Yeah.
So do I have a motion to authorize the signing of the petition?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Heidi, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Shallen. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7P, approve appointment of Public Works employees.
So with the recent vacancy in the Public Works Department, we did conduct interviews, and we have a second appointment as recommended from the pool of applicants that we had on file, because we had those 2 resignations very close together. So we're recommending that Jeff Peters be appointed Public Works Maintenance full-time position, and also that Joe Hoppy be appointed on a part-time as needed, so he could come in and help us haul snow if we needed, or if we needed him in the arena. It wouldn't be a regular shift, it would just be somebody that we could call on if we needed him. So we're looking to approve the appointments for Jeff Peters and Joe Hoppy to the Public Works Department.
Questions, comments? Do I have a motion to approve the appointments?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Diane, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. We have no unfinished business. We have no new business. This now brings us to our consent agenda. We have schedule of claims, unpaid claims of $57,032.02. Paid claims of $71.13 for a total of $57,103.15. October checks, paid claims / payroll of $409,702.42. We have a gambling application for exempt permit request from the Sauk Center Lions Club for a raffle on February 28th, 2024 at the Sauk Center American Legion. And a gambling application for exempt permit request from the Sauk Center Snow Cleats for a raffle on March 13th, 2024 at the Sauk Center Snow Cleats Clubhouse. Is there any questions about the consent calendar? Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Joe, second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. We have no new or informational items, and that brings us to the end of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And I'll second.
Motion by Shallon, second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Meeting adjourned.